I do think we're moving towards more digital IDs. If you do that, and there's a high trust in that service, signing is essentially consent and identity.
¿Cómo pasamos de firmar un papel a construir acuerdos impulsados por inteligencia artificial? Alan Thigsen, CEO de DocuSign, nos habla sobre cómo esta tecnología transforma por completo la manera en que se crean, gestionan y firman los acuerdos, haciéndolos más eficaces y seguros. Esto es Norte Digital, la primera serie de entrevistas en México producida por Grupo Financiero Banorte, que marca el rumbo hacia la banca del futuro.
Hola, bienvenidos. Hello, welcome to this new chapter of Norte Digital. We're going to talk about digital agreements, digital signature, taking advantage of Alan Thigsen's visit here in Mexico City. We have Alan here in Banorte offices. Alan, thank you very much for being here. We are going to take advantage of you here to talk about DocuSign and how you are leveraging artificial intelligence, your vision and going forward, innovation and so on. Thank you very much.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you for having me.
Let's start with that, with the vision. And you transform something as simpler as signing a piece of paper in an innovation and a digital process. But if you can tell about your vision maybe 5 years ago and your vision 5 years ahead, obviously not disclosing the jewels of the crown, but I'm pretty sure that you have in your motto, in the motto of the company, words like safer, faster, efficiently, and so on. So where are you going and where are you coming from?
Coming from. So we were founded a little over 20 years ago with the idea of popularizing electronic signatures. At that time, that was almost heretical. No one, government, businesses, consumers thought that was possible or legal. And so it took some evangelism. But over time, I think we persuaded governments, businesses, and consumers that in fact it was not only more convenient, but it was very safe. You could trust the parties, and DocuSign, I think, became associated with that trust. I'd say about 7-8 years ago, we started looking at, well, if you think about the journey that an agreement goes through, you start by drafting it and negotiating it, then you need to manage the execution process internally and externally, and then you need to manage the agreement once executed. And we started adding functionality, so helping you verify the identity of the parties so that the person is who they say they are, or making it easy to simply customize agreements for a particular party. But we never put it all together. And a couple of years ago, I joined as CEO 2.5 years ago, and we rallied the team. We said, well, what should our next big thing be? And we decided that the opportunity was to reimagine agreements holistically end to end. And so what we have built with Intelligent Agreement Management is really a suite for reimagining every step of that workflow, both how you do it and then bringing AI to the table. I'm sure we'll talk more about that. How can we bring intelligence to it? How can we help you interpret agreements? How can we help you negotiate them? How can we help you review them? And of course, AI happens to be very good at that. And so, sometimes it's good to be lucky. I think I was lucky to join at a time when there was a major change in the technology and what it made possible. And we're trying to take full advantage of that.
And talking about that, going deeper into the AI, Alan, how are you leveraged? Because we use it, or at least I use it, and it helped me to create a document or analyze a document. You can ask them to see the amounts or the penalizations and so forth. So some things like that. But how are you leveraging AI, considering that you are not only in one country? I mean, you are global solutions.
180 countries, yeah.
How you manage that?
Yeah, it's a complicated problem. Well, let me start by just saying that, yes, you can certainly take an agreement that you receive and put it in ChatGPT or Gemini or another off-the-shelf engine, and you can ask it a question like, can you find me the expiration date? And it probably can do a decent job of that. But what you really want isn't just that simple answer. What you want to know is, How does this agreement compare to other agreements that I might have entered into with similar parties? Where are the exceptions? What are the things I should be looking to negotiate? And if I've already signed the agreement, what are the things that I should be keeping an eye out for? How are we performing against that agreement? When is it coming up for renewal? What do I want to do when that happens? Those are the things that we're focused on. Those are much harder questions, and they need to be answered with a very high degree of accuracy. It's not like, oh, we can be 80% right and that's good enough.
Exactly.
And so that's what we've built is an engine with much higher precision that's aware of how agreements work, how they're structured, how they relate to each other, all the terms that you might typically find, and which terms are synonyms and which are really different. And we've built that engine, and we can now do that with very, very high accuracy, both the default things that we know everybody's going to ask for, but you can even build custom rules yourself for things that are specific to your business. The AI will train on your agreements and will help you find what you're looking for.
It will be learning for each customer, for example?
For each customer.
So you have like the layers, customer, geography.
Yep. Yeah. Let me talk about the geography thing. You're totally right. So AI actually makes a globalized product a little bit more complicated. Right? So on the one hand, yes, it makes it easier to translate simple text. But for something like legal documents, you need to have both the language context, but also the documents specific to the local law. Mexican law is different from Argentinian law, certainly very different from US law. And so even if I have the good AI, I need to have the source documents for Mexico to be able to do a good job telling you the essence of answering your questions about the agreements.
Yeah, perfect. Let me tell you a little bit about our journey. We have been so many years in the digital transformation of the bank, and assuming or understanding that the digital transformation process it's a moving target. We can say now that we are the bank in a minute. So taking Banorte Mobile, the app, you can do almost whatever you want, not only transacting and moving money and making inquiries and so on, but also being able to contract a new credit card or an investment in a mutual funds or asking for a payroll loan. But one of the main challenges, as you said, being sure that the one that it's behind the cell phone is really who they say they are.
So that's actually a key area for us. Well, first of all, we have always worked particularly intensively with financial institutions, because all financial institutions, banks, insurance companies, mortgage brokers, their business is essentially agreements. So when you do that, one of the key things that come up is fraud and security. And so we actually started years ago to build a federated suite. By federated, I mean we're essentially taking sort of best of breed solutions for every level of risk. At the very top end, you might use a notary or some in-person verification and validation. We have a video verification where it does a live video interview with you, and it checks that you're the person who you say you are, and that it matches the documents you have. You can upload your documents digitally. Now, the challenge is, as you described, is you're talking about someone who's already a customer. Everybody knows there's more risk when it's a new customer, and so that people will apply higher risk screening. But every once in a while, you need to revalidate that the person that says they're who they are, that says they're their bank, that they haven't stolen the phone and somehow gotten access to the account. And so that's a trickier problem, because now you're introducing additional friction for customers that are expecting a very seamless experience. But you can bring all of those elements in. If you see warning signs, this is a transaction that's a little more unusual than what they normally do, breaks the pattern, that triggers now an additional verification step. So we work with financial institutions on exactly those kinds of scenarios. And the signing moment is just a culmination. There are all these steps that precede it, or various types of data. We're balancing risk and verifying various data elements. It's a never-ending area.
And talking about the innovation, thanks for introducing the topic. You have, I guess, a big area understanding what is happening in how you balance. It's not that they are one against the other, but innovating in regulatory things or legal agreements, it's not something simpler, compliance and so on. How you balance that and taking advantage of the question, talking about innovation, where are we going in 5 years from now? Are we still using a pen, a digital pen, but it's a pen, or are we going to be a digital blockchain signature and biometrics?
So first of all, look, compliance and security are base level things. We don't really get to have a business unless we address that first. And that's certainly true with our highly regulated clients, like the banks, like the insurers, the healthcare companies. And so we have to comply with whatever the government standards are in every country that we operate in, and then whatever additional standards that you may impose for your business. And that's just going to be a never-ending part of the journey. And the good news is we've seen that movie before, and the needs do tend to be somewhat similar across countries and across clients. And so there's a lot of learning that has happened over time. But our brand is all about trust, and so that's a baseline. In terms of where I think things are going, well, as you can imagine, I do think that more and more of the agreement process will be automated and AI assisted. We actually previewed an agent that would complete an entire agreement flow, including all the data verification and decisioning. Do I go this way or this way, depending on what you're saying? I think that's what you're going to see. And then I think in the identity and risk space that we just talked about, I do think we're moving towards more digital IDs. I grew up in Denmark, and when I go home and visit now, every government service, every private service, every board, everything is linked to that one digital ID. And so they're pretty far along. I know there's been some good progress here as well with the government services, but I think that's where things are going. And of course, if you do that, and there's a high trust in that service, signing is essentially consent and identity.
I agree.
And so if you can solve the identity problem, then the consent problem becomes something you could do perhaps without signing. Now, my experience is legal systems and regulatory systems move much slower than technology, and maybe even slower than people. And so I don't expect signatures to go away for a very long time, but it's becoming technically possible for in a variety of contexts to imagine a more automated digital ID consent type of mechanism, just like you do with your customers today in your app.
The faster we move there, it's ultra efficient for everyone. I mean, not only for the government, for everyone.
And we're really trying to make the end-to-end process of coming to agreement more efficient. So ultimately, I'm not going to care if you want to sign or if you want to use a digital identity thing or if it's going to be stored on the blockchain. It's the enabling that workflow and bringing intelligence towards. That's our long-term mission. But I think signatures are going to be around for a while.
But I really like how you explain it. It's consent and identity. That's what you are saying.
That's what you're saying
when you are signing. No? It's very looks like very simple. Your key lessons, your key learnings about this process in DocuSign. Again, considering 180 countries, considering different solution, different type of documents, different type of customers.
Yeah, well, it means that it's complicated to change. DocuSign had a fantastic run with our electronic signature product, became so widely adopted, and then that was boosted further during COVID, because suddenly everybody needed to execute documents. If you weren't already, you certainly needed to. And then as COVID fortunately started going away, some of that excess demand and pull forward went away. So we really were at a moment where we needed to say, okay, what do we want to do next? And getting everybody aligned and on board with that, and getting the right team in place for that type of change, that did take a lot of pushing.
Of course, and I'm pretty sure congratulations on this intelligent agreement management, considering the workflow and all the steps, because it's going to resonate a lot. Thank you very much, Alan. Thanks for being here, and congratulations on all the advances that you have, and thanks for sharing your vision and your experience.
It's my pleasure, and of course we look forward to continued partnership with Banorte.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to all that are seeing us. Thanks for attending this Norte Digital chapter. Don't forget to subscribe, and we will see you in the next chapter, where we are going to talk about technology and how it is evolving the way we live, the way we connect, and the way we work. Thank you.